Hello, y'all. This is Professor Williams, and I'm gonna break it down to you about how black people are the real Jews. Now let's start.
Drapetomania was a conjectural mental illness that in 1851 American physician Samuel A. Cartwright hypothesized to cause black slaves to want to flee captivity. So in other words, you were a moron or mentally disabled for not wanting to remain a slave. But let's continue. This is the reason why maroon also means bad situation in Spanish, because the word maroon became the international term for runaway blacks who escaped slavery. As we see, the word Marrano means black or brown, so the term Marrano Jew translates as black Jew. There are reports that Columbus and others were Marranos, but they were not, but rather crypto-Jews, European Catholics who secretly practiced Judaism. King Ferdinand was worried that the converted Marranos would be influenced by the Orthodox Hebrews and Moors, which both converted to both Judaism and Islam were referred to by an even broader term called New Christians. The black Jews were the Portuguese colonial possessions in Western Africa, which were Guinea, São Tomé Island, Senegal, Angola, and a few islands near the African coast. Throughout the persecutions in Portugal, thousands of Jews left the country. The Jews were leaving the country in such massive numbers that in 1499 and in 1531, the king published a law forbidding the New Christians, black Jews, from leaving Portugal without special permits. Cesar Roth wrote that the Christian Jews immigrating from the Portuguese colony of Angola in West Africa were agents of the Inquisition and were sent there to ferret them out in 1626. It is certain that many black Jews of Portugal, São Tomé Island, and Angola, who became victims of the Inquisition and Portuguese persecution, were sold into the slave trade. The Untold Story, Revised Edition by Edgar Shaw. The expulsion of Jews from Spain and Portugal. So just in case you had any question about the Marrano Jews or the quote-unquote New Christians, here are some pictures of the Christian converts in Portugal. So let's get some. R.H.M. Ells gives a graphic description of the Portuguese Jew. Baruch Spinoza, middle-sized, good features, skin somewhat black, black curly hair, long eyebrows of the same color, so that one might know by his looks that he was the descendant of a Portuguese Jew. Waits, when speaking of the Portuguese Jews, says, an interesting gradation of color down to the black is exhibited by the Jews. Especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. These Portuguese Jews were very dark. J.C. Pritchard. The Duchess of Brand, the wife of Napoleon's ambassador to Portugal, said this about the Portuguese Jews. The Jew, the Negro, and the Portuguese can be seen in a single person. Nature knows no color line. John Bigelow, who visited Jamaica in the 1850s, saw the enslaved Jews of Spain, or the Sephardic Jews, and witnessed that they were Negroid. Nature knows no color line, pages 123 and 130. Term Moor or Marrano was a blanket term for the Israelites, meaning black, who were taken to the areas of Spain, Portugal, Portugal, Germany, England, and Rome by the Romans in 70 AD as slaves. But when the Roman Empire fell, these Hebrews took control and ruled those areas and remained there until the European powers took back over, like in 1492. This is how you get terms like Anglo-Saxon, which translates as the angelic sons of Isaac, or the German name Kap, which is derived from the Hebrew Yaakov via the Latin Jacobus. The name was changed throughout the major European languages from Jaquez, Giavaco, Giacapo, Ayacapo to Kap.
So this is the book, Babylon to Timbuktu. You can get this from Amazon, Chapters, Indigo. Here it tells you this. It tells you that about the Black Jews of Spain and Portugal. So I'm not going to stay too long now. I'm just going to read what I highlight that is interesting, that matches to what the video said. So, the expulsion of the Jews from Spain and Portugal. It was AD 1492, January 2nd, when the Moorish stronghold of Granada surrendered to the armies of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. And it tells you more. It tells you the Jews who were expelled from Spain and Portugal were scattered throughout the whole Mediterranean coast. It is estimated that over 100,000 Jews departed from Spain and Portugal during the persecutions and the expulsion. Some of these Jews went to Northern Europe, Italy, and Turkey. This is where you had Israelite Moors that colonized those countries and built up Europe. But most of them went to Muslim countries of Northern and Western Africa. Alright? The Black Jews who were left behind were deprived of their freedom and sold into slavery, like Jamaica and those places. When the Jews were expelled from Spain, about 100,000 entered Portugal. Then from Portugal you had ones that fled into Africa. There's more. Now let us return to the Jews of North Africa. With influx of tens of thousands of Black Jews from Spain and Portugal seeking refuge in African ports, Morocco received a great share. I'm going to get to that for a sec. That the other Jews existed at least in east of Sudan, Chad, Sudan, and Ethiopia. Black-skinned population with some of the Feleshi, which are generally known as the Tuaregs. When it came to the Black Jews, if you deny your religion, you will eventually deny your nationality. Sociologists and psychologists know, and history has proven that, if you deny your culture and nationality over a long period of time, you will totally forget it through a process of assimilation. So, the Black Jews who came to Africa not only by land, but also by sea, as you recall, in the year 1484, King John of Portugal deported great numbers of Black Jews to the African island of San Tome. Some of you guys may know it as Principal, St. Thomas Principal. So the island of San Tome near Nigeria and the Cameroon was discovered by the Portuguese in 1471, and it was established as a penal colony to this island of Jews who were sent who would not accept baptism. It is obvious that the Jews were deported to San Tome not only to mete out punishment to them, but King John's ulterior motive was to establish a commercial base with sophisticated Black Jews in his growing empire in Africa. As time elapsed, the Black Jews in Portugal and the Black Jews in the Portuguese colonial possessions became known as Black Portuguese. They were called the Black Portuguese because they were born in Portugal and they knew the history, culture, and language of Portugal. And these are the same Jews who invented the Portuguese language that we know for today. Now, the new inhabitants were Black Jews deported there in 1484. Black Jews migrated to Angola coast, Angola that is in southern Western Africa today, from San Tome between 1484 and 1499. And the people of Angola who come from the Mbundu people, the northern and southern Mbundu people, are descendants of the Black Jews who came from Portugal, Spain and Portugal, and were from the tribe of Judah. These black Jews went to Portuguese colonial possessions in Western Africa. Remember that the Portuguese colonies in Western Africa were Guinea, São Tomé Islands, Senegal, Angola, and few islands near the African coast. Now we're dealing with the black Jews of Angola, and I'm going to go online and tell you more about the black Jews of Angola. St. Paul Luanda began like São Tomé as a penal colony for the punishment of criminals in Portugal. Many of these black Jews were considered criminals. Also, many of these black Jews of the land of Angola, it is said, came from São Tomé Island. So the people of Angola, it is said they came from São Tomé Island before they eventually migrated into Angola. So all available evidence indicates that the Jews of Angola coast were Portuguese Jews outcasts, and many of these black Jews were established inland and along the coast of Angola, the Congo, and Gabon. And if you guys want to watch my African ancestry results, I'll put the link in the description. My results came back Gabon. And it is certain that many black Jews of Portugal and São Tomé and Angola, who became victims of the Inquisition and Portuguese persecution, were sold in the slave trade. This Atlantic slave trade lasted more than 400 years, from 1444 to about 1880 in some parts of South America. Now, there is a Yoruba group in southwestern Nigeria in the Lagos region. There are the black Jews in southern Nigeria who are called Emyokwem, or strange people, by the native Africans, but these black Jews call themselves by the Hebrew name B'nai Ephraim, or sons of Ephraim. These Jews claim that their ancestors immigrated from Morocco, what I just said before, a fact which Godby said it is important, supported by their language, a mixture of Maghreb, Arabic, and local Negro speech. Thus, Abu father has become Yaba, mother. Hebrew and is Ima. Nevertheless, most of their language is similar to the black Yorubas around them. The Yorubas have influenced these Jews to a great extent in their external social life. It is said that the crocodile is the sacred animal for all the customary sacrifices of the Yorubas appear to be the same for the Jews. And they occupy the Ondo district. We ended off right here. Most of the Mbundu history was discarded from Angolans centuries ago to brainwash Angolans after doing the African genealogy test. I found out that I was a part of the Mbundu. Sorry, had to say that again. Was part of the Mbundu tribe, which was proven to be my great-grandfather. After years of digging in the Natural Library of Angola, there was some nerve-wracking information that most people in the world would not understand. Most of the Angolans knew that the name Mbundu was not the original name of the so-called Mbundu, and the language that they speak, Kimbundu, was not their own. During my search for the truth, I found out that the so-called Mbundu originated from a place no one would have think of. That would be Iberia, modern day of what you know it, Spain and Portugal. Based on the Mbundu traditions, they mentioned that they came from the Great Sea. So I knew that this information had to be correct. When they became rulers of the Iberian land, their tribal name was never known as the Mbundu. It was known as Lobidos, which is the name of a seaport in Angola. And Angola is a Portuguese-speaking country today, and they were speaking Portuguese from the jump. Which the last name de los Lobidos is derived from. Most people think that the tribal name of Lobidos is a Portuguese term, but based on history, Portuguese was actually the birth language of the Mbundu. That just means, guys, that we invented a language, Portuguese, as in the Mbundu people of Angola. They are descendants of the Portuguese Jews. And nobody is not bringing this information out until this guy, Agostinho Neto. Shout out to him. Origin of the Portuguese, aka the Mbundu people. During the 3rd century, the Lobidos and the Moors were communicating in the language of Hebrew and made an accord that they will make 2 Bantus, or Bantu languages for each land.
A result in this accord was the making of the Spanish language by the Moors and the Portuguese by the Lobitos, aka the Mibundu. After viewing these facts, I can say that the Portuguese, the official language of Angola, is a Bantu Iberian language with a sister language of Spanish. A result in this accord was the making of the Spanish language by the Moors and the Portuguese by the Lobitos, aka the Mibundu. After viewing these facts, I can say that the Portuguese, the official language of Angola, is a Bantu Iberian language with a sister language of Spanish. The immigration to Angola. During the reign of King Alfonso de los Lobitos, the Jewish-Portuguese War was at war with the Moors after they converted to Islamic teachings. The Moors wanted the whole country to Iberia to be one Islamic nation, which resulted into a war between de los Lobitos Islamic teachings. The Moors wanted the Portuguese Jews, and nobody is not bringing this information out until this guy Agostinho Neto. Shout out to him. Origin of the Portuguese, aka the Mibundu people. During the 3rd century, the Lobitos and the Moors were communicating in the language of Hebrew and made an accord that they will make 2 Bantus or Bantu languages for each land. A result in this accord was the making of the Spanish language by the Moors and the Portuguese by the Lobitos, aka the Mibundu. After viewing these facts, I can say that the Portuguese, the official language of Angola, is a Bantu Iberian language with a sister language of Spanish. The immigration to Angola. During the reign of King Alfonso de los Lobitos, the Jewish-Portuguese War was at war with the Moors after they converted to Islamic teachings. The Moors wanted the whole country to Iberia to be one Islamic nation, which resulted into a war between the Moors and the Lobitos. This war was in continuum until 14th and 15th century. Portugal's king and the tribe of Lobitos was forced to succumb their name, their founding language, and migrated from the area to avoid persecutions from the Moors. Having the knowledge of navigation, they migrated down the west coast of Africa. They stopped by a desolate land that they had geographical likeness like Portugal and made it their new habitat for some years. In the process, they got in contact with the indigenous people from the Congo, but had problems communicating because of the language difference. After years of gathering information from one another, the Lobitos got their new founding name known as Mibundu, and the name of their founding land known as Angola or Angola. And during my research, I found out that archives that King Alfonso de Lobitos first said, "We are in fact Portuguese, but our mother country is by the sea of meditation. Never denounce your faith, and we must never forget our birth language of Portuguese and Hebrew." This proves that the Mibundu people did invent the language Portuguese because their language comes from that language, and they're the same people that were there and established that country as well, until they had to flee into Angola and other places as well. Alright? And I'm going to give you another fact, another proof how we are the real Jews. That's why it's important to research, guys. Hear this. Afro-Jamaicans, full or Africans that are brought, came in Portuguese, but our mother country is by the sea of meditation. Never denounce your faith, and we must never forget our birth language of Portuguese and Hebrew. This proves that the Mbundu people did invent the language Portuguese because their language comes from that language, and they're the same people that were there and established that country as well, until they had to flee into Angola and other places as well. Alright? And I'm going to give you another fact, another proof how we are the real Jews. That's why it's important to research, guys. Hear this. Afro-Jamaicans, full or partial black African descent. The first Africans that were brought came in 1513 from the Iberian Peninsula. So why would they tell you that? They know something. And just like what that video said, black people, the black Jews from Spain and Portugal were sent off as slaves into slavery in Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and other places as well. And the Spanish and Portuguese descendants like the Mbundu and other people, they were sent off as slaves as well. Now there's more. This is the slave embarkment. Bida Biafra. Isn't that the same place? Nigeria, Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, and my African ancestry, Gabon. Now those are the same places that the Spanish and Portuguese Jews migrated to. And they were taken on slave ship into Jamaica. And same with West Central Africa, the Congo, and the Mbundu. These are the same people I've been talking about before. This tells you a fact, and it's not just them that were sent off to Jamaica. The same people, the same Spanish and Portuguese Jews and their descendants, when they were put on slave boat, they were sent to Jamaica, Haiti, Antigua, Dominica, Barbados, Trinidad, etc. So I'm just here to tell you guys that I prove my point, that we are descendants of the Spanish and Portuguese Jews. And I will do more videos on the list of African tribes that are descendants of the ancient Israelites. Stay tuned, like and subscribe, and support my channel. Shalom.